بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا ونبينا محمد وعلى آله الطيبين الطاهرين واللعنة الدائمة الأبدية على أعدائهم أجمعين إلى قيام يوم الدين. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي. Excuse me. So we were discussing about the legislation and the activation. So Hajj is wajib as a legislation on every Muslim. But to every Muslim, they have to go. There are children, there are Muslim children. There are people they are not able to go due to their social circumstances, economical circumstances, financial circumstances, a lot of circumstances. So as we studied in Ilm al-Usul, that there are conditions, they activate the obligation. So the conditions, they make the obligation activated. Once the conditions are there, the activation happens and the Hajj becomes wajib instantly, immediately. And we discussed that this instantaneousness could be an intellectual instantaneousness or religious instantaneousness. So we discussed the condition. Now we are going to discuss the condition, the first condition, which is bulugh. So after introduction of the conditions, the first condition is bulugh, reaching the age of puberty. And we discussed ruling number 4, and we were on ruling number 5. So we said that if somebody was child and before the miqat or after the miqat, after embracing the ihram or entering the state of ihram, becomes baligh, Hajj becomes baligh if other conditions are also available. Excuse me. So ruling number 5. Let's say he was performing mustahab Hajj. And because if it's not wajib, then at least it can be mustahab. You can go for Hajj. Your child can go for Hajj. Your child can perform Hajj, but it will not be considered Hajjat al-Islam, the obligatory, the one Hajj which is obligatory on every Muslim. It will not be considered like that because the conditions are not available. So we can't prevent him from doing something good, going there and performing Hajj. So if it's not wajib, then it is at least mustahab if the conditions are not available. So this 9-year-old boy, okay, father took him, or he went with a bunch of youth to I know because I took a caravan of youth from Doha of Balighin, and some of them, they took their brothers with them who were non-Baligh. So our parents could go for Hajj, and they have their non-Baligh children. They have not reached the age of adolescence. So بأنه غير بالغ إذا حج ندبا معتقدا بأنه غير بالغ, if someone goes for Hajj recommended, believing that he is not baligh, he has not reached the age of adolescence, so his Hajj will be mustahab, not the wajib Hajj. فبان بعد أداء الحج أو في أثناء بلوغه. So during the Hajj, okay, or after the Hajj, it appeared to him that he was baligh, or he became baligh. كان حج حجة الإسلام فيجتزي به. His Hajj will be Hajjat al-Islam, Hajj al-Islam, the wajib first Hajj, and it will be sufficient for him. How? I'll give you an example. As you know that there is a ruling which says لا يقع في شهر رمضان صوم غيره. In the holy month of Ramadan, other than the fast of the holy month of Ramadan, does not become valid. That means what will happen? Whatever intention you will make and you fast in holy month of Ramadan, it will be considered unintentionally, obviously. It will be considered your holy month of Ramadan fast, and you don't need to repeat that fast because you did not know that the conditions of obligation were there upon you. Similarly here, this boy, he thought he's not baligh, okay? Even he might have wet dreams, but he did not know that wet dream is causing age of puberty. Or their growth might uh, hair might have grown on his pubic area, but he did not realize. He was so spiritually involved in this labbaik and this and that. Or maybe, like once he said labbaik, his hair grow out of spirituality. For example, this is just like a. So anyhow, for some reason, either he was not aware that he became baligh during that time, or he was aware about the signs, but he did not know that these signs are signs of reaching the age of puberty. So in that case, what will happen? Because it was unintentional and he was performing Hajj and he's supposed to do Hajjatul Islam, but he was not aware either about the conditions that obligate upon him, or that the actual, he knew the conditions, but he did not know that the hair has grown, or he has got wet dream and he did the ghusl and everything, but he did not know that this, I'm baligh now. So وكان حجه, so this كان حج حجة الإسلام. So this person hajj, and during the hajj, or فبان بعد أداء الحج, that after the hajj he realized he was already baligh, or during the hajj he realized he was already baligh. So his hajj will be hajj of Islam. Okay, the first hajj. Ruling number 6. يستحب للصبي المميز أن يحج. A child which is discerning, that means this can distinguish between good and bad. Okay, it is mustahab for this type of child to perform hajj. It's not wajib, even though he has a lot of money. But then one or other conditions, remember the conditions, is being baligh, reaching age of adolescence or puberty. So in this case, if he goes to perform the hajj, يستحب للصبي, it's mustahab for him to go. ولكن المشهور, however, he says the popular opinion of scholars is أنه يشترط في صحة إذن الولي وهو غير بعيد. So he says that the scholars, majority of the scholars, they made a condition. Oh child, oh 9-year-old or 8-year-old, you want to go perform the hajj, it's mustahab for you to go, as long as you can discern between good and bad. And but you have to take the permission of your guardian, the father, somebody taking care of you. So he said, it is Mashhur said, but what about you, Sayyidina Sayyid Sistani? What do you think? Do you require that permission or not? He says, وَهُوَ غَيْرُ بَعِيدٍ. That means this condition is not far. That means I'm embracing it. It is very close. That means it's qareeb, that this condition needs to be there in order for the child to go for mustahab hajj. But what about if the child was baligh? لا يعتبر. Ruling number 7. لا يعتبر إذن الأبوين. The permission of the father and the mother is not required in the validity of the hajj of the one who has reached the age of puberty. Absolutely, in any case, doesn't, because he's baligh khalas. And when hajj becomes wajib on him, that person who's baligh, then what do we say? لا طاعة لمخلوق في معصية الخالق. Father says, no, don't go. Mother says, don't go. People, no, khalas. Now hajj is wajib, no one can stop you. No one should stop you. If they try to stop you, then they are stopping you from performing wajib. So performing the command of Allah. So command of Allah or command of my parents, there is no comparison between command of Allah and command of parents. When command of Allah is there, it overrides all the commands. No command supersedes it. So obviously their permission is not required because Allah wants him to go. It is wajib. However, that is about hajj, okay, generally. But what about mustahab hajj? Hajj wajib, we said yes. Parents, you see, yeah, if the parents were depending on him or on his financial support, and he was taking care of their elderly parents, and they don't have any other support system other than there's this son. And the son, if he goes for Hajj, he will be, there will be a shortcoming in fulfilling the obligatory rights of the parents. So then the Hajj will not be wajib on him. Okay. Otherwise, he has to go. If the parents' economy is secured, if they are sick, somebody's taking care of them, everything, then he has to go. Because it could be parents, it could be wife, it could be children. You take care of them. You can't leave them just like that and abandon them. But if it was mustahab Hajj, then you need to be considerate about the feelings of the parents. نعم إذا أوجب خروجه إلى الحج المندوب أذية أبويه أو أحدهما شفقة عليه من مخاطر الطريق مثلا لم يجوز له الخروج. So he says, however, if he is going to go for recommended Hajj, and that recommended Hajj, traveling, would be a cause that the parent will be seriously concerned. It's going to hurt them. Why? Because they will be concerned and they will be worried about their son from the troubles of the way. Traveling has a lot of challenges. Those days there were these kind of challenges, like bandits might come and steal your caravan if you're coming from Egypt or somewhere far, Iraq, on camels, on horses. There are people, there are bandits on the streets. They take your money, they take everything, you see. And there are dangers associated in traveling there. So if there was a danger associated with traveling, and your parents would have serious concern, then it is not permissible. لم يجوز له الخروج. It is not permissible to go in the case of recommended Hajj, he says. Ruling number 8. يستحب للولي إحجاج الصبي غير المميز. You have a child, a discerning child, who can, non-discerning child, غير المميز. So you have a like below 5 or below 4. The age is not something which defines the intellectual capacity. Nowadays, I have seen some 5-year-old kids, mashallah, they have strong ability to distinguish between good and bad. So that's why if a child was non-discerning, يستحب للولي إحجاج الصبي غير المميز. So it is mustahab for the guardian to take this child. It's mustahab, and perform Hajj with him. وكذا الصبية غير المميزة. And the same thing goes for a girl who has not reached the age of puberty and not reached the age of discerning. وذلك, okay, how سيدنا? بأن يلبسوا ثوبي الإحرام. Make him wear the 2 garments of ihram. For the guys, obviously. For the girls, there's no specific garments. ويأمروا بالتلبية. And he would tell them, please do labbaik Allahumma labbaik. And if he does not know, so he commands them, do talbiyah. That means make it your intention that you are going to do this, and we are going to do the labbaik. وَيُلَقِّنُهُ, dictate him, okay? Like, for example, say with me, labbaik. We will say labbaik, like the way we do in Hajj. We have all this group standing in front of us, and I say with me. He says, yes, we are ready. Uhrimu, I am becoming muhrim. They will say, Uhrimu, كذا حجة الإسلام قربة لله تعالى. قربة لله تعالى. Labbaik, they will say labbaik, Allahumma labbaik, Allahumma. So this is called dictating. So even by dictating, okay, the child, so make him wear the 2 garments of ihram, 2 pieces of ihram, for the boys, obviously, and then he commands him to do talbiyah, and then he dictates him how to say. If he was able to do, if he had some problems, he could not say by himself beside anyone dictating him. إن كان قابلا للتلقين وإلا لب عنه. Okay, so if he was able to do talqeen by dictation, like the baby, you see, How can you say to the baby say labbaik? The baby will say, well, kind of is cry. That's not labbaik of the baby. Okay. So, or maybe God knows better. Anyhow. So, so you say labbaik. The baby says, why kind of cries. So there are some you want to make, and it's not. It says you can. It's mustahab to take that baby and do Hajj, wrap him with two cloth, and do the intention on his behalf, and carry him with the tawaf, and carry him with the sa'i and Safa and Marwa, and pray on his behalf the 2 rakat. So if you can't do talqeen, I mean, if you can't do dictation to that baby or that child due to some reason, then you say labbaik on their behalf niyabatan, as a representative. Okay, then what? وَيُجَنِّبُهُ عَمَّا يَجِبُ عَلَى الْمُحْرِمِ الْاجْتِمَاعُ. Then to make him avoid whatever is prohibited on a muhrim person. وَيَجُوزُ أَنْ يُؤَخِّرْ تَجْرِيدَهُ عَنِ الْمَخِيطِ. This is for those who are coming from Iraq, and those days there are some problems. It's not even a practical nowadays. So it is permissible for that person to delay removing the stitched cloth and wearing the 2 ihram, or removing the stitched cloth until they reach the area which is called fakhr. This is for certain reasons it was done before. وَإِذَا كَانَ سَائِرًا مِنْ ذَلِكَ إِذَا كَانَ سَائِرًا مِنْ ذَلِكَ الطَّرِيقِ. If he was traveling from that path, the way those people who Iraqis, they come, that route has this area, and this area they can start in, they don't have to, it's a miqat, but they don't have to take off their clothes. Okay. وما بحكم وإذا كان سائرا ويأمر بالإتيان بكله, and he commands him to do whatever he's able to from the rituals of Hajj, and whatever he's not able to, he represent his the child. وينوب عنه نيابة, representation فيما لا يتمكن, in things which the child cannot do it. ويطوف به, if it's a baby, you carry him on the hand and do tawaf with him, or if it's a child, you can hold his hand and do tawaf with him. ويسعى به, similarly sa'i between Safa and Marwa. ويقف به في عرفات, take him to Arafat with you. والمشعر مزدلفة. ويأمر بالرمي, and if he's able to, إن قدر عليه, if he's able to pelt the shaitan, then he commands him to pelt the shaitan. وكذلك صلاة الطواف, similarly salat of tawaf, and then he shaves his head, and similarly he does the baqiyat of a'mal manasik al-hajj. Ruling number 9, لا بأس أن يحرم الولي بالصبي إن كان نفسه محرم. Okay, what about I did my ihram, I did my umrah, okay, but like for example umrah mufrada, this is pictured more in umrah mufrada. So I did my ihram, okay, now I'm in Mecca, and my child, baby, he was not baligh, so I said let him just not be muhrim and let me. But then when I came to Mecca and I completed my umrah, the Maulana said, did you make your son do the umrah? Oh, he's a child, he has not reached the age of adolescence. He can do? Oh, really? So now I missed it. No, go back to the miqat. But I am already in Makkah. Yes, you have 1 month. You can enter Makkah without ihram. Once you have entered with ihram, that is like a visa for 1 lunar calendar. Ends on the 29th of the month, or if the moon was not sighted, 30th of the month. So let's say if you enter Rajab 28th, okay, you can leave Makkah and come back on 29th without ihram. However, if you want to come with ihram, you have to make an intention of niyaba of someone else, because you cannot have your 2 umrahs in 1 month. But you can have it like it was 28 in Rajab, you did one, and first Shaban you did another. So 2 umrahs and 2 different lunar calendars. So per per lunar calendar, you have one Umrah Mufrada. However, you can have for others, your father, your mother, your Madalim al-Ibad, whoever, that you can have. That's not a problem. Okay? So therefore, yeah. So لا بأس بأن يحرم الولي بالصبي وإن كان نفسه محلا. So even if the guardian was muhil, that means it's not in the state of ihram, he can make his son or daughter be in the state of ihram. How? By taking them back again to the miqat, which is very close to Makkah. Okay, it's like 7 kilometers, the Miqat for miqat from Makkah, for those people who want to redo the Umrah. Yes. الأظهر للولي. Ruling number 10. الأظهر أن الولي الذي يستحب له إحجاج الصبي غير المميز وكل من له حق الحضانة. So who is the guardian? So ruling number 10 says the guardian is anyone who has the right of custody of the child. He has the right of custody. So who are these? Such as parents. Both parents, they have the right of custody. They are more prior to upraise their children from other. أو غيرهما, or other than these two, with details mentioned in the chapter of marriage. نفقة حج الصبي. Okay, this child is going to do the Hajj. Okay, who's going to spend on it? Me or the child? So نفقة حج الصبي فيما يزيد على نفقة الحضر على الولي لا على الصبي. So let's say if somebody was living in Makkah, okay, and he would do Hajj. So the expenses are less. Let's say he was going to do in $500. Someone coming from Europe or United States, some of these distant lands, it might cost them $5,000. So he says that نفقة حج الصبي فيما يزيد على نفقة الحضر على الولي لا على الصبي. So the obligatory part is as if someone was going to do Hajj from inside Makkah. He lives in Makkah, okay? He enters the state of Ihram and goes Arafat. So this is called somebody doing Hajj locally. Or they go for Umrah, they go outside and they do the Umrah and they come back. So this is someone who's staying there. For someone who's coming from outside of Makkah, it costs more. So what does this ruling say? He says whatever expenses of Hajj of the child above the local Hajj is upon the guardian. The guardian cannot use the child's money in the Hajj. Why? Because if you really want him to Hajj, let somebody do the Hajj there in Makkah. Send them $500 and your son will be having a good genuine Hajj from a Meccan guy. Obviously follow Ahlul Bayt alayhi salatu wasalam due to the rules of Ahlul Bayt. So look at the sentence of ruling number 11. Nafaqatu Hajj Sabi, the expenses of the Hajj of a child, that means have not reached the age of adolescence. Fima yazidu ala nafaqat al-hadar ala al-wali. In whatever the expenses are over the expenses of local Hajj, okay, the people who are present there, the extra things, it is on the wali, on the guardian. You cannot take money out of the child's money and say, no, it is for you. Yes, you can take the child's money. As we mentioned, the child could be rich, but in Hajj, which is more appropriate, okay? Not beyond the limits. So if you go beyond the limits, you spend from your pocket. The child will only spend from his pocket the Hajj which is in the limit of the people, of local people. نعم إذا كان حفظ الصبي متوقفا على السفر به أو كان السفر مصلحة له كانت نفقة أصل السفر في ماله لا نفقة الحج به لو كانت زائدة عليه. Okay. So this ruling says, and we'll be done with this ruling number 12. Okay, the child is going to do Hajj, Hajj al-Mustahab. We said whatever local amount is, Hajj, local Hajj, that is what child is going to pay. Extra amount you are going to pay, extra more than the local. So here, say the Sistani continues this mas'ala. However, if the child is going to go Hajj, and these traveling costs are required to secure his safety or whatever is in his benefit. So let's say if the Hajj was for the benefit of child, and you had to bring the child from all the far away distant land for his maslahah or her maslahah, for the child maslahah, and they have not reached the age of adolescence. So everything is going to be from the cost of the wealth of the child and not the guardian. أو كان السفر. So he says متوقفا على السفر به. Okay, if the child, his Hajj is depending on the prerequisites which are not local, expenses to bring him from the far away land. متوقف على السفر به أو كان السفر مصلحة له, or the safar was beneficial for him, perhaps spiritually beneficial. كانت نفقة الأصل في ماله. The entire money of Hajj will be from his wealth. لا نفقة الحج به, not only the amount of performing the Hajj with him, no, the entire thing. لو كانت زائدة عليه. Okay, so because the child needs someone to be. So what about his ticket? Yeah, the child will pay. When? If child cannot travel without this guardian, or the traveling can be done without the guardian, but the existence of the guardian is maslahah. There is a benefit, it's needed. So considering that need, the entire wealth is going to be taken out from the wealth of the child of the Hajj. Finally, ruling number 12, ثمن هدي الصبي غير المميز على الولي. The goat of sacrifice of Hajj. Okay, if the child is non-discerning, on the guardian. However, الكفارات التي تجب الإتيان بموجبها عمدا, whatever penalties you have, okay, if there are penalties which you are obligated to pay because you have done certain things intentionally, deliberately, فالظاهر أنها لا تجب على الصبي, because the violation you violated, not the child. So therefore, there'll be no kafara on the child. وإن كان مميزا. Okay, even if the child was discerning, the sufficient thing is we're going to, like, the child is not going to pay any penalty, any sacrifice, anything. وأما الكفارة التي تجب عند الإتيان بموجب عمدا فالظاهر أنها لا تجب بفعل الصبي. What about the penalties? Whenever he does any violation, it's a penalty. So he says apparently they are not obligatory on the child, even if he was discerning. لا على الولي ولا في مال الصبي. So لا تجب بفعل الصبي. If the child does any violation, it is not upon the guardian. It is neither upon the guardian nor upon the wealth of the child. وآخر دعوانا الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله على محمد وعلى آله الطيبين الطاهرين والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. If there's any question, please feel free to ask.